Hi everyone, it's Miss Rossi. Today we're going to finish our Japanese Notan designs. What you'll be needing today is your colorful background paper from last week. So this should be a white square piece of paper that we colored in. We're also going to need a scissor, a pencil. We're going to need that black square piece of paper that came with our Japanese Notan paper pack. So this is just a smaller black piece of paper. We're also going to need a glue stick. If you don't have this black piece of paper in your art folder, you can use any other color piece of paper. If you have any construction paper at home, if you have any wrapping paper or any newspaper, any of those will work. You just want something that is different than the background design that we have created. I'm going to put my scissor, my glue stick, and my background paper to the side for now and just hold on to my black paper and my pencil. Now today we're creating a Japanese Notan design, and we got to learn about how these were used in art making to create balance in compositions. So we're actually going to be creating one using cut paper today. So we are going to be drawing a design on our black square piece of paper, and the way that we are going to cut it out and lay it on our paper is going to show the positive and the negative space, create balance within our shapes, and create a either symmetrical or asymmetrical image once we are finished. So what we're going to be doing to create this is we are going to be drawing on our black square piece of paper with our pencil some different lines, shapes, and designs. Now what's important when we're drawing these is that our lines do not touch. We need space in between all of our lines because we are cutting these out, so you can't really have your lines touching or crisscrossing in your design. Otherwise it's going to be really challenging to cut them out and then organize them the right way when you're laying them out on your paper. So I'm going to start on this bottom edge with my pencil, and I'm just going to draw a random line that is going to come up towards the center, and then it's going to go back down and connect to that same side. Whatever we're drawing, we want to start on one side and finish on that same side. Now it can go towards the center, but once I'm drawing things around here, I don't want them to touch. I'm going to make my design a little bit more interesting than just one line on this side, so I am going to draw some more lines on here. I think I'm going to almost repeat that same kind of shape, leaving some space in between, right? We don't want our lines to touch. And I think I can do that another time. And maybe even once more. So now I have my first design there. It's almost like a mountain, maybe like a wave. And I have those lines repeating, getting smaller towards the center. Now you can draw whatever kinds of shapes or designs you would like. Maybe on this side, I want more of a heart shape. So from this one right side of my paper, I'm going to draw half of a heart that is coming out and back down. And again, this line is not touching what I already drew. It is starting on this side and ending on this side. I want my heart to have those same kinds of rings. So I'm going to repeat that same half of a heart shape in there, maybe 2 times. Now is when you can decide if you want your picture to be symmetrical or asymmetrical. If you want it to be symmetrical, it would be the same on both sides. So maybe on this side, I would draw that same heart design, and on the top, I would draw that same kind of mountain wavy line design that I had on the bottom. Or you can make your design asymmetrical and have all of the sides of your picture look different. So it is up to you whether you'd like to make it the same or make it different. I think I'm going to make mine different. I think instead of having those kinds of wavy lines, I'm going to have more straight and geometric lines on this side. So I'm going to do almost like a big triangle. I'm going to repeat that same line shape down there. And then maybe inside, instead of just repeating that over and over again, I'm going to draw more of like a 2-tiered shape, almost like the letter M. So it's a little bit different. And then I think on this last side, I want almost like a big drippy organic shape. And I'm just going to make another different drippy design in there too. So attached to each of the sides of my black square paper, I drew a different line and shape design. I have some smaller versions of it inside. If you want just one larger shape, you can do that too, but I think it is more interesting and exciting when we add some extra layers and details in there. Now I am going to grab my scissor and I'm going to very carefully cut out along my pencil lines. So I'm going to start along this side, and I'm carefully cutting out that heart shape that I drew, following my pencil lines super carefully to the other side. We want to make sure we're cutting this out to be one piece. so that we can almost put it back together like a puzzle, and all of our sections that we're cutting are going to fit back together perfectly. I'm going to go in and follow those other pencil lines that I drew. It's okay if they're not perfect, because we can always use our eraser and erase any pencil marks that we can still see. There we go. So now I have all the layers from this original side that I created my heart design on. So now that I have all of my pieces cut out, we can start to arrange them to see that same Notan design. So I wanted to cut them out in one big piece so that I could line them back up with that gap that is left. So I can line up that first heart ring that I had. I'm going to keep this one on the inside, and then I'm going to flip out that next one. With each of the designs that we cut out, we'll be able to alternate where they are being placed to create some positive and negative space relations that are opposites and symmetrical to show balance in our composition. So I'm going to stack up these pieces for my first side and cut out all the rest of my line designs, keeping them together and organized so I don't lose any of my pieces before we start to glue them on our background paper. So again, I'm just going to go in and cut along all of my pencil lines for all of my sections, and then start to lay them out on my paper. Alright, now that I have all of my pieces cut out of my paper, I can start to lay them out to create my Notan design. So I'm making sure I'm keeping all of those sections and all of those little pieces that I cut out together so I don't lose them. And the first thing I am going to do is I'm going to glue down that last base piece, that piece that I was originally drawing on, right to the center of my colored paper. Now I do see some pencil marks still on here, so I am just going to carefully erase any of those lines that I can still see that I drew. And I'm just going to glue that base piece that I started with right on the center of my paper. So I'm going to put a little glue on the back and try my best to place it in the center of my background paper. It's okay if it is not perfect. You can decide how you want yours laid out, what way you want your background paper to face, and what way you want your black paper to face. I am just going to hold mine the same way that I was drawing it and place it right in the middle there. You don't want to place it too close to one of the edges because you want to make sure you have room for where your papers are going to stick out a little bit. All right, once you have your base, that centerpiece that we cut everything away from, you can start to organize the rest of your layers. So I have my first heart-shaped design that was on this side, and I had those 3 extra pieces that came out of it. So I'm going to flip the first largest piece. So instead of going inwards, it is coming out towards the edge of my white paper. Now we want to create an image that has some balance, where it is equal but opposite on both sides. So now with my next second smallest piece, I'm going to leave that facing inwards so that I am going to have that background color showing up on the opposite side and the black on the inside. So now you can see we're starting to get that opposite image happening, where I have my ring of color from the background paper here, then I have the black paper on the outside. Again, that same thing's going to happen where I'm going to have the black paper on the inside this time, and I'll get a ring of color on the outside. I'm going to flip that last center piece that I cut out towards the outside to complete that image. So now you can fully see how we're getting that positive, negative, equal balance, symmetrical design being played out just by the way that we are placing our paper. Once you get it placed out the right way, you can grab your glue stick and start to glue them on. Now I'm going to glue them from my outermost piece to my innermost piece, and I am lining them up so that the corners are touching. So my corners here on my cutout piece are touching the corners from my base piece, and the same thing on the bottom. Trying to line those up as best as I can. It's okay if they are not perfectly lined up, but if you get those corners touching, it's going to really help you get a straight line there to show where you cut. I'm going to grab the next piece, and this one I'm going to line up with the corners on the first piece that I glued down. There we go. And then that final piece is going to get lined up with the corners of this other piece. So now you can really see it's black on this part of my heart, but on this half it is all of the bright colors from my background paper. Then again, we have the black on this layer of the heart, and then all the colors of the background, and then you have that same reflection happening down there. So I'm going to go in and line up the rest of my pieces so we get that same kind of reverse design. So here I am taking that first largest piece that I cut out, reflecting it by flipping it over so it is facing the edge of my white paper. And then with that center piece, I am going to face it in towards the center. So on this one, it looks like it's going to be going off the page a little bit. That is okay. But I have all of these pieces that I cut out. I have my two bigger triangle pieces, and then I have this little M section. And then down at the bottom, I have all of these big wiggly pieces. So you're almost creating a pattern of your pieces sticking in and sticking out to create your balanced reflection-like design. There we go. So that's what it's going to look like. I am going to grab my glue stick, glue all of those pieces down where I placed them to create those positive and negative spaces, and then I'm just going to use my eraser and erase any of those little pencil lines that I can still see on my black paper. And that is my Japanese Notan design all finished. So now that I glued on all of my little pieces, you can really see the reflections and the symmetry in each of my sides here, even though my total image is asymmetrical. But you can see the reflections of my black cutout shapes with the colorful sections of my background shining through to create that same shape to show an overall balanced image. Once you're finished with your project, you can upload a photo or video of it on my Canvas page. I can't wait to see the amazing designs you guys have created. Try your best, have fun, and get creative, and I'll see you soon. Bye!